it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Man, God, everything is a crime! Welcome to the party, pal!
Guys, welcome to a classic film review of 1988's Die Hard, starring Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman and Bonnie Bedelia. Now, this was directed by a fresh-off Predator John McTiernan, and it's the story of a New York cop turning up at his estranged wife's Christmas party to help put things right. But don't you just hate it when your Christmas party is cut short when European terrorists infiltrate your building, take your guests hostage and plan to steal millions of dollars from a secret vault? Well, if you're as lucky as these guests are, you'll have Bruce Willis's unexpected guest going rogue to reluctantly save the day. Now, it's a cliche, of course, but Die Hard is still, 35 years later, one of the greatest American action movies ever released. It's one of those films where all the ingredients come together in just the right way. So let's talk about them. Let's take a look. So if you've yet to see Die Hard, well, firstly, you're in for a treat. But secondly, here's how it goes down. So John McClane's wife, Holly, works for the Nakatomi Corporation in Los Angeles. So he turns up to surprise her there. And before you can say Yippee-ki-yay, Alan Rickman's well-tailored terrorist and his gang of Euro-goons turn up to stage an elaborate and explosive heist of the bearer bonds stashed in an impenetrable penthouse safe.
Because I am interested in the $640 million in negotiable bearer bonds that you have locked in your vault. And the computer controls the vault.
Now it's up to our hero to foil the dastardly deed with little to no help from the gathering crowd of police and federal agents outside. Now, I'm only assuming that the vast majority will have seen this film already, so discussing it is complicated as it's so popular and perhaps the most famous action film ever made. It's a template that's still being used to this day. So how has it held up in the last few decades as filmmaking has evolved and visual effects and stunt work have been turned up to dizzying levels? Now, there's probably thousands of reviews of Die Hard out there, so I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get this out of the way. This is a 5-star action film. I recommend you watch it, and if you've seen it, I recommend you rewatch it. Now, let's instead have a look at some of the reasons this film is still the gold standard in popcorn action entertainment. So first we have to talk about Bruce Willis, that guy from the TV show Moonlighting who'd already been in a couple of obscure movies, but here a switch was flicked that turned him into a megastar, and it's fully deserved. You see, the 70s and 80s already had action stars. It had Clint Eastwood, it had Chuck Norris, it had Arnold Schwarzenegger and Van Damme and Stallone, and they're all super tough guys who never look like they're going to lose. But here was the wrong guy in the wrong place. A cop, yeah, but more of a regular guy whose first response to a crisis is to call the cops, and only after they don't respond goes and gets on with it himself. Now, what I love about Willis here is he's equally believable when he's running around wrestling with the bad guys or sat sobbing pulling shards of glass out of his bare feet.
You know we got a pool going on you.
What kind of odds am I getting?
You don't want to know.
Put me down for 20. I'm good for it.
Now, every great film like this needs a great villain, so we also have to talk about Alan Rickman's Hans Gruber, the polite, well-educated super crook who's quick to point out that he's not a terrorist, just a savvy businessman with designs on a big payday.
Mr. Takagi, I could talk about industrialization and men's fashions all day, but I'm afraid work must intrude, and my associate here has some questions for you.
You see, Michael Douglas's Gordon Gekko dismantled companies in Wall Street a year earlier to make his millions, and here, a different kind of yuppie criminal uses hired goons and explosives to get his.
One blood, you'll have it. But let Heinrich plant the detonators and Theo prepare the vault. After we call the police, they'll waste hours trying to negotiate, and then you can tear the building apart looking for this man. But until then, we do not alter the plan.
Now, this is one of Alan Rickman's great villain roles, up there with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and the one he was known most for before he took on the role of Severus Snape in the Harry Potter franchise. His exchanges with Willis via walkie-talkie are fantastic here. Gruber's clockwork precision versus McClane's fly in the ointment.
I assume you are our mysterious party crasher. You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, Hans, wrong guess.
Would you like to go for double jeopardy where the scores can really change?
Now, it's not like we get Gruber's childhood and his deep psychological motivations, but Rickman and the script give us just enough tidbits to make him more than a cookie-cutter villain. And before we delve into some of the amazing action direction and explosive set pieces, let's just take a second to talk about probably the secret weapon of Die Hard, and that's one Reginald Vell Johnson, who plays Officer Al Powell. Now, this character is the genius trump card of Die Hard, in my opinion. He's the guy on the line to Willis's high-rise hero throughout, and the only guy who appreciates the efforts and sacrifices being made to save the day. Now, the film's brave and smart enough to allow occasional breaks in the mayhem so that the pair can have heart-to-hearts, which sounds cheesy saying it like that, but it's top-notch, and it sets up a great final moment of redemption for the cop come the finale.
What'd you do? Run over your cabin's foot with the car?
I shot a kid. He was 13 years old.
So yeah, Die Hard really is that rare action movie that feels perfectly balanced. It's not a pummeling 2 hours of non-stop action. I mean, it's action-packed, but it lets you rest a bit between explosions, fist fights and general carnage. There's even some great henchmen on show in the form of a couple of brothers, one of whom gets dispensed with early on in famous comic effect.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
And then, of course, we have his hothead brother who goes on a little revenge rampage against our hero. The point is that these are memorable adversaries and not just kind of villains of the week. Now, of course, it wouldn't be the same if it wasn't all brilliantly marshalled by director John McTiernan, who shot this between making Predator and The Hunt for Red October. Now, McTiernan would also make the third Die Hard movie and the hugely underrated Thomas Crown Affair remake, also the dreadful Rollerball remake, but we won't dwell on that. Now, here he shoots almost entirely in a single location, the Nakatomi Plaza, actually the still under construction 35-storey Fox Plaza, and this gives us a variety of locations within just a single building: opulent office areas, ventilation and lift shafts, half-completed floors, and of course, a helipad. Now, in the modern action movie age where you give John Wick a bulletproof suit which takes all the threat and fun away from the shootouts, take yourself back to 1988 where there were more stakes and our hero got shot, punched, half beaten to death and survived by the skin of his teeth. A quick shout out as well to Hart Bochner's sleazy coke-sniffing yuppie office worker Ellis, who thinks his boardroom savvy will wash when he foolishly tries to negotiate with the terrorists.
Hans, this asshole is not my friend. I just met him tonight. I don't know him. Jesus Christ, Ellis, these people are going to kill you. Tell them you don't know me.
And Devereaux White as Argyle the chauffeur, who's a bit of comic relief that actually doesn't irritate. And also one of the great action movie scores from composer Michael Kamen. Now, if you can, try and find Die Hard's edited for TV version with the bad language hilariously redubbed with its Yippee-ki-yay mother truckers. As an out-and-out action thriller, its thrills are pretty peerless. And as a Christmas movie, of course, it's essential. Go check it out.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.